And we are live once again for another lethal discussion. This time with my good friend Matt Metro. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing great, buddy. How are you
Awesome.
doing?
I'm doing wonderful, man. Especially because we get to talk about video games today.
It's probably my favorite thing to talk
Yeah,
about.
exactly. I mean, the moment that you told me that you wanted to talk about video games, I'm like, time, when, where? No need for the whys.
Right.
So, we're here to talk about something that's very near and dear to both of us and probably almost every single person that is listening right now on some spectrum. If the YouTube algorithm sent you to this podcast and you don't like video games, I'm sorry. You can file a formal complaint against YouTube because they totally messed up. They sent you to the wrong place. Because we're going to be talking a lot about what it means to love a video game. I think that's really going to be the big dish in terms of the platters that we're going to be serving to you today.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do. We love video games, and we want to know exactly what it is that makes them be a worthwhile pastime. Much farther than any sort of gameplay mechanic or one particular narrative. What is it about a video game as a whole that makes you want to come back to it every single time? And I think that's a topic that we can all get behind, right?
Yeah. I think it's at the very least worth discussing something that you choose to spend a lot of time on.
Right.
In a time, I guess, like because we're in our later 20s, and we're kind of in that age where the things that you used to do, the hobbies that you used to have as a teenager or just growing up as a kid, specifically video games, are things that you just don't have as much time for, and so you have to, create that time if it's important to you, and it begs the question of why it's important.
True. A lot of us, if you look at any sort of metric in terms of our generation, we're in the twilight of our 20s, so anybody who is with us in that spectrum will know that everybody plays video games in one sense or another. And looking back at looking forward to the younger generations, every single one of them is so engrossed into video games that some of them don't even play video games because they have so many other means of spending their time that the medium itself has engrossed itself in, say, mobile games and that other sort of handhelds, that the classification for what it means to be a gamer has expanded to such a high breadth. Like, everybody can be a gamer if they really think about it.
Right, it's kind of like there's something for everybody now. Like
There's so many categories.
right, and so everybody has their own sort of outlet if you want to find it.
Right. You want to play a guitar? Do you want to sing? Do you want to play drums? All of that stuff is accessible to you right away. You want to shoot aliens and be the coolest Marine ever? Boom, you're there. You're there for a modest price nowadays. Since now we're talking about, well, that's what's interesting too, a decades-long industry now. Just that there are so many avenues of accessibility that even if you genuinely only have like $10, you could potentially still get to play video games either on a library computer, playing macro media flash player.
Kind of like how we all started.
Yeah, exactly. That's our roots. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All of that stuff is still out there and accessible to other people who have not had the same economic means that we might have, that we can evolve with the industry to the degree that we're at, that we can actually sit here and consider the nostalgia of like what it.
Well, and that's something interesting too that you pointed out, that just Oregon Trail are kind of like these things that we would sneak away with, in our library classrooms or our tech, wherever it was, that how impactful that shit was. Even at a pixelated, really unevolved state, this new kind of experience, this different than a book, different than a movie, something more immersive because of the interactivity, right?
Oh yes, I remember being in third grade and being taken to the library and getting to play those old Arthur I Spy games.
Oh yeah.
The storybook games.
Yeah.
Oh, those things blew my mind. I could not wait till we got back to the library. I don't know what it is about those things, but they're so enticing. It's there's just something about them that absolutely catches my eye no matter where I'm at. It's like somebody's playing a video game. Oh, it's like, can I see?
See, can I check out? Can I play?
Yeah.
It's probably the next step.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. There's something. I mean, this like from beginnings. Like as a kid, because like you said, we're in the twilight of our 20s. So when I was a kid, the Nintendo came out, and we just briefly after I was a kid, and we got one. I think it came out in '89 or something, but. We got it a couple years later, and that I'll never forget the moment. I'll never forget it. As old as I will get, that looking down at the controller and looking up at the screen and trying to associate how the buttons I was pressing on the controller made the thing on the screen change. And it's like
Did it automatically come with Mario? Was that one of those
it was
bundles?
Super Mario Brothers, yeah. The original
dang.
Super Mario Brothers. So that was the very first video game I ever played, and I'll never forget it. It's stuck in my mind to this day. It's like as primitive and simple as the original platformer for the Nintendo is, there's the impact of that moment has created this lifelong infatuation with something with a essentially a brand new form of media that was only birthed in at the same time that we were,
That our parents were
Right.
born, yeah.
Right.
It is really interesting how this one avenue of escapism has now become like a 6-lane highway in terms of the amount of things one can do in it.
Yes.
Every single person can find their own place in it. And hearing about things in terms of trying to be exclusive in any sort of way, trying to have console wars with people, it's so interesting how we bring our old tribalisms to any sort of medium that we try to that we want to do. Everything has to be a competition because it's fun. Yeah, I could only imagine that a lot of those guys, just take it as seriously as their keyboards will take them.
Right.
And that's just as good because every single person plays a different persona online. It's one of those things that the internet alongside video games, almost hand in hand, have really advanced, is the ability to be able to be yourself outside yourself, and really showcase what you think you mean.
Right. It allows you the opportunity to sort of. It definitely does. It gives you the ability to express yourself in a way that you didn't even know that you could. It gives you a little pouch of tools, and it says, here's the universe that you can use these tools in. And at least for some of the more narrative-driven video games, that it's like, how are you going to use these tools? How are you going to apply them? And what does that say about you? And it definitely makes you think, and it makes you feel, too, when you're asking yourself these questions.
Right? I mean, just being the kind of person that wants to play a video game puts you in a separate category in terms of your temperament, because you have to have patience to play some certain video game. I mean, any sort of video game, because it is an investment of time.
Absolutely.
It is either an investment or a waste of time, depending on what you perceive it to be.
Yeah.
Because there will be need to be time spent in order for anything to advance. Even if it's just a simple 8-hour adventure, it will still necessitate 8 hours of your time.
Yeah.
So you have to make that. You have to pretty much make that that investment. You have to make that consciously and say that, okay, I am entirely okay with diverting all of my time to this one medium in the whole host of things that one could be doing with their time. And the reason that I find that I enjoy it so much is because it allows me to get a particular sense of escapism, because the types of games that I enjoy playing that give me that escapism are very difficult, trial-driven games.
Right.
Yeah, I really enjoy games that just mash me against the wall, because I can
masochist.
Yeah, totally.
No, okay.
I feel the softness of my flesh, and I feel like I can be stronger and calloused.
Yes.
Yes.
That's good.
Exactly. Like you mentioned that video games could be a modicum of self-therapy to a certain degree, and that is exactly the kind of self-therapy that I enjoy. It isn't necessarily just spending one's time to veg out. Like, I want my brain engaged to be able to then showcase to my brain that we're doing a good job.
Yes, that you're improving.
Exactly. It is a positive feedback loop within myself that then drives me to get better and better. And then once I'm done, I'm like, all right, now let's go do other stuff we can do better and better. It pretty much places a kind of software inside my brain, essentially, to think in a certain way and be like, like you're not a winner, you're a loser. You failed a lot, but eventually you won.
If you keep trying, if you work hard and if you put enough thought into it, sure. Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
That's
the kind of escapism that I enjoy, because once I escape outside of it again, I can come back and be stronger for the experience.
Right.
It isn't vapid escapism, at least to me.
It's kind of like cross training in a way for real life.
Yeah.
Just like not a 1-for-1 aspect ratio, but like you're practicing the things that would benefit you in real life, determinism and focusing and all of the things that you need to do to be really good at one thing or another. That definitely makes sense. It's like skateboarding and snowboarding or whatever. They kind of hold the same practices.
Once you learn what the groove is, it's so easy to just fall into it that getting better it's imminent because you're spending time on it. There is almost no way that spending more time in any particular thing will make you more wise in that one thing. You just can't help it. And that's why it's so important to be wary as to how one spends their time.
Yes.
Once again, why we're having this conversation in the first place, because we want to be able to be honest with ourselves and ask, are we actually spending our time wisely?
Is it worth it?
Is it really, really worth it? Yeah. Although we spent all of our childhood and our teenage years playing video games, all of that stuff can be easily vindicated. We were kids. So when it comes to that, it's like, the best you can hope for is that your kid is just going to be like, I'm just going to play some video games, just going to hang out,
Yeah, not too much.
Yeah.
Just enough. The right amount, just like anything else, I guess you might say, is that in moderation is probably the way to go. Right. Yeah, you definitely don't want to fall into the pit of.
And what is moderation, though? Because imagine you're a child that genuinely wants to make video games and perhaps critique video games for a living, like genuinely move the art form forward in some fashion. How do you tell them when too much is too much?
Right.
When you have when you're a pianist, not that I know anything about art, like being a pianist, but I can only imagine the amount of time that it takes to become a good pianist,
right.
or even just an average one, not let alone be a good one. So, and that's a skill that, just like with video games, requires a lot of your time. Because anybody can play video games in terms of accessibility, sure, but being good at video games.
Well, that's the thing. That's important. That's a good distinction. And I can't remember the guy's name exactly, the stand-up comedian who had a bit about this, but it was that video games are probably the only medium that will prohibit you from playing them if you're not good enough at it. You know what I mean? You have to be. You actually.
There's a threshold.
You actually have to sharpen your skills in the boundaries of the game in order to progress. Whereas, like, if you're reading a book, halfway through the book, it doesn't just close and go, what are the themes? This is the guy's jokes. I'm not trying to paraphrase them.
Yeah, exactly. No, we're not trying to plagiarize over here.
No. But the idea behind it is solid. It's
totally.
It's a hobby that you need to practice if you want to continue to have it as a hobby, and one that you need to get better at.
And if you want to be an aficionado or an actual enthusiast in it, you have to put even more time.
I mean, the pool is so big, you have to really select. You only have so much time, first of all, and second of all, there's 1,000,001 games that you could play, and half of them are great. How do you, by what parameters do you choose to to limit these to like what if there's something important about it, what should I play and what's good about it and why is it good? You know,
those are all very important general questions that everybody could ask themselves, because whether you're playing for a league or whether you're just playing because you just got off work,
Right.
you have to really consider what game are you going to pop into your console, or what game are you going to pick from your library, because that is genuine hours and moments spent from your life. You are a person, and you are a person who will be spending their time in front of a computer screen, TV. You will be doing something that will take you away from other potential things. Why is it that that is so important at that particular moment? Why is it that it is now more important to play video games than cleaning up around you? You know, there are
well, that's a valid question.
Very
That's a
valid question. And I'm sure one that a lot of people are asking themselves as they listen to this podcast, too.
Is it worth it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be upfront, I still play video games. You know, maybe not every day, but you know, sometimes I'll take a month off or whatever. But it, even if I play every day, even if I don't play for a couple weeks, it's the same kind of. There's something special now that's built up, I think, over a lifetime, literally a lifetime of playing video games, that it's become less of a hobby and more of like something that's personally intrinsic to my well-being in a sense. Like sometimes I feel like if it's gone too long without my having played a video game, I get anxious or I get upset about it, and I don't know why, and maybe that's unhealthy, but when I get to play something, regardless of its content, it's just the act of playing the video game, I guess, that kind of sedates that monster, you know, that kind of, there's something really important in being able to occasionally allow yourself to escape to somewhere else for a given period of time, and just to really let yourself go, and to let your problems go, if just for a little bit.
Oh, no doubt. That's historically proven. If you look at festivals like Saturnalia, you know, people didn't have the capacity to be able to create a virtual escapism, so they had to create one in the real world where it's like, all right, for 3 days, we're just going to go kind of crazy. Just go crazy. Don't take anything seriously. You know, just live it up for 3 days. That's how much we can afford. And then everyone goes back to normal afterwards, just pining for the next time Saturnalia comes around so we can try that again. And so that craving has always been there. So, and it's obvious in terms of showcasing the market share and how much video games has taken in terms of the pie. You mentioned something about how video games now is beating movies.
Yes, I just read that the other day, that it was, I want to say that it was more than one of the media aspects of business, but that it makes more money, it makes more revenue. The video game business makes more revenue than the film industry, which is mind-boggling, because a lot of movies cost multi-million dollars, you know. They're very large numbers. And to think that, like, we're kind of starting to see the shift into this environment that's slightly more dominated, and is probably going to be more dominated in terms of video games, and you know, going even further than that, augmented or virtual reality. Like these are definitely interests that you can see are peaking in the public and in the market's mind. Like these are things that are coming up.
Very highly. It's inevitable. It almost feels like, especially with the advent of virtual reality, AR, people want more interactivity with their digital realm, and going back to less interactivity, to just sitting on a screen and watching, feels, even right now, even a decade later, feels primitive already.
Yes.
Like, I'm watching Deadpool 2 and I'm like, that's really cool, you know, like I'm just sitting here, but like, wouldn't it be really cool to play a Deadpool video game that looked hyper realistic like this?
And Ryan Reynolds was in it.
And Ryan Reynolds,
and he did all of the motion capture and voice acting.
It would be like one of those like Walking Dead video games. What are those called? The Telltale games, exactly.
And those are good. they're really good. Well, at least the Walking Dead ones is the only ones I played, but they really they got a good way of
They're
sucking you
captivating?
in. Yeah. Yeah, even though it's just, well, yeah, I guess what it really is The Walking Dead, those video games in particular, not to go off on a tangent, but like they really reinforce this notion of, whether it's in a post-apocalyptic world or not, that like a lot of the decisions that you have to make in life are kind of shitty in one way or another. Like you don't, you usually don't get to have your cake and eat it too, kind of. That's the way the game plays you.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, no matter what you do, like, life always finds a way to bite you in the ass.
And that really showcases why people love video games so much to begin with. It is the type of escapism that allows you to retry. If that's one of the reasons why I enjoy retry and trial games like that, is because you get multiple chances to be good. Because I know that I won't be good the first time around. So, but if given multiple chances, I know that I'll be able to pull something off that will be great. And video games allows you that, as opposed to the real world, where for the most part it's do or die all of the time. You have to be really cognizant as to all of your interpersonal interactions, economic interactions, anything that you're doing. So because
that's a lot of stress.
And it is a lot of stress, and because of that, it doesn't allow for a lot of creativity, I feel, unless you're a specific kind of person.
Right.
And because you have to play it safe. It's like there is no retry button out here. So because
no
of that,
saving.
so because of that, I have to be conservative by nature. Because the moment that you try to step too far off the lines, you start veering off into chaos.
Yeah. You don't want to slip into chaos. That's
Not at least not unguarded.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. But so because of that, the escapism that video game allows, once again, puts into question as to whether one should be escaping from those realities, because that is real life, right? It's like real life is the continuation of the chaos being like 6 feet away at all times. Like you never really know what the next tragedy is going to be, or what the next opportunity is going to be. Not to have to look at it too pessimistically all the time.
Well, I think if you boil that question down just a little bit, is it beneficial, and how is it beneficial, and how can we, if we can, identify that, if, not just from personal experience, but like how can we really nail that down if we were to try to, right? Like I mean, obviously, like you were saying earlier, there is something deeply beneficial in wanting, having this determination to make yourself better.
Self-therapeutic.
Yeah,
Very
absolutely.
self-therapeutic.
And I feel like, at least in the video games that I enjoy, there are, and amongst those, it's the micromanaging sims, the crafting and the building type things, and I think that the reason that I enjoy it so much is because of its allowance. For me, it gives me the ability, and other people, it gives us the ability to put chaos in order, to create
in your own small way,
right? To just take things and to make them cleaner and to make them sharper, and yeah, I don't know. I think there's something important about that, being able to, especially if you come from maybe a childhood that wasn't as structured, or maybe you didn't have two parents growing up, or whatever it was, that like kind of just made you feel imbalanced, or whatever it was. For me, it was always that, like, Minecraft or Stardew Valley, I think, is a really good one. It just allows you this opportunity to have everything in as much perfect order as you want it.
There's some serenity to the place that you're living in.
Yes, there's something that because it's yours, and because you made it clean, because you made it good, you crafted it into something that came from either nothing or just chaos.
Right? That's one of the things that I always hated about the Hearthfire DLC in Skyrim, was the fact that it comes prepackaged. Exactly.
Yeah.
So everything is already on the table. Everything already has a particular aesthetic to it. So I was like, oh, well, this is in my house. Like, I bought furniture is essentially what I did.
Yeah, that's
And
not making something your house.
yeah, exactly. And those kind of things are tears in the escapism that, for the most part, a great game. Skyrim allows for wonderful, wonderful escapism at
Yeah.
any particular given moment. If you want to play it on your Motorola pager, if you want to play it on
Amazon Alexa,
yeah,
or whatever it
exactly.
says you fucking
Or
play
all those major consoles.
Yes. The pagers.
Yeah. It most certainly allows it, but one thing that I do think that is very interesting is how, at least us growing up, we've had the capacity and ability to create so many characters. We've had the ability to be able to create simulations of what it means to be a good person, what it means to be an evil person, because at least a little back in the day, the choices weren't as watered down. It wasn't as much it wasn't all gray muck of gray morality, because that's essentially what you get when there's no good or evil. It's just gray, and I wanna be able to choose gray if I want to. I want to choose my shade of gray.
Yes,
but if everything is
gray.
if everything is gray, what difference does it make?
That really.
Unfortunately, perhaps that's our crutch as narrative-driven creatures, that we just require some sort of arbiter in terms of, okay, was that a good choice? Was somebody out there thinking that was a good choice?
Right.
Like, did somebody agree with me when I thought that was a good choice? Because that's what I thought was one of the really cool things that really allowed me to escape in The Witcher 3, is that the choices were very, very varied, and very interconnected. One conversation could completely mess up another conversation with people you thought were your friends.
Yes.
That's you fall into that kind of character. And I think the reason why they're able to do that, and it is the crutch that perhaps Bethesda has to fix on its own, is that when you create a character that everybody has to create their own individual character, that umbrella is so wide that it's like, how can you make a narrative that's impactful in any way for that sort of situation?
You have to put limits on it in order
there are
for
literal
it to be.
Yeah, once again, if we want to talk about time spent, there are literal hours spent by people coding and creating and beta testing these games, and they have to make a choice that, okay, we can make a profound story that literally no one will ever play, or we can create a couple extra
Morrowind.
or we can create a couple extra side quests that might be pretty cool. We'll have 6 of those as opposed to one epic sweeping story. It's all about time budgeting. It's genuinely all about how one wishes to go about spending their time. And it almost feels like the market has spoken. Because, I mean, although people complain, we, like suckers, all go off and buy the next video game.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm going to buy Fallout 76.
Absolutely.
Well, the moment that it comes out. Because I could talk smack about it all day long, but I'm still going to try it out. I'm not going to pre-order it.
Nobody should do that.
No, nobody should do that.
Especially not for Bethesda, because they are very likely to release an unfinished game.
Exactly. They will release an unfinished game.
Every single time.
I'm retracting what I'm saying, and I might actually wait the whole 3 weeks before the whole patch comes out. Yeah, the full Fallout 76 patch comes out.
That's not a bad plan.
But that actually, that just try to bring it all back to the whole creating of character, and how the ability to escape from this reality then allows you to go forth and try out, other hats in other realities. And perhaps vent in a particular way. Allow the id to exercise a little bit, in its own playground that won't hurt anyone.
And this is a brand new environment for that too.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
Yeah. It's a new playground for people to really, and I guess sometimes it kind of turns dark, but at the same time it's created like some pretty amazing things. I mean, doesn't EVE Online have its own like market?
that's a place. That is a genuine place.
It is a genuine place. Now.
Yeah. People have escaped to EVE Online.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The depth.
People are genuine CEOs and presidents of companies and stuff on that game. In that game,
worth actual money.
Real
life.
Whatever that means. Right?
Yeah, whatever that means. That's a very good point.
Yeah, the escapism really. Once you try to escape one place, you really showcase the layerings of escapes that exist all over the place.
That are possible, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's just it. Is you can never. You got to be careful. You just can't. You can't overdo it with any one thing. That's not a good idea for anything. Especially video games and everything else. They all have their extreme examples, but
Yeah, it is really unfortunate how usually only the louder cases are the ones that end up shaping public opinion in the long run.
that is true, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yep.
and yeah, only the small gnats that are very loud and poke you in the eye are the ones that actually make any dent in you for the most part, because there are millions of people every single day that either go to school, and come back, or go to work and come back, and then just sit down and play a video game, whatever they're doing, whether they're murdering hordes of people, hordes of zombies, or whether they're creating beautiful villages someplace.
Well, and that's just the thing too. Is like the more taboo or the more explorative the idea, the less you're going to be able to hold it down, and the more it's going to spread. And
It seems we've learned our lesson in terms of that a little bit, at least in terms of video games. People are just coming, and it's a scary thing because, once again, us being young, it's really hard to put ourselves in the perspective of an adult in that time, where it's like,
Right.
okay, this is a brand new medium, and we do not know how kids will react to being able to now be given a controller that now allows you to shoot people, in this virtual space. So I can totally understand the worry. I can understand being wary about anything like that because who possibly knows? You genuinely have opened Pandora's box with video games as we have as a species because, as we said, the categories are infinite in terms of the kind of games you can play. It's so ubiquitous that it will never go away now. It's so unbelievably ingrained that unless there is some ridiculous solar flare that destroys all electromagnetic
Could be.
receptors, it's just
Hopefully not, but
Yeah.
yeah, forever, yeah, and only more
More
in
advanced.
depth as it goes along, and I think like because we both have virtual reality sets,
Yeah.
we both are kind of privy to this sort of sensation that
the new sunrise.
Right.
Going over the
It's
horizon.
kind of the new horizon,
Yeah.
right? The next planet that we're leaping off to in the video game world, and whether or not like it goes down that avenue determinantly, the only virtual reality, but this whole it provides a new level of immersion. Even before I ever got to experience it, I was thinking about it very intently, and I wanted to because I've always been a fan of that type of escapism when it comes to video games, and virtual reality seemed like the pinnacle of this idea of a near perfect immersion, and as rudimentary as it is right now,
yeah.
it's still exceptional. It still provides you with this feeling that you cannot experience unless you've tried it on, unless you put on the headset and fucking hold something and imagine yourself somewhere that you're not.
And we have the most modest of systems too,
Yes.
because we only have the PSVR.
Very simple.
I have tried the Oculus Rift and the HTC Vive, and I can most certainly say that they are far superior products. But for the layman that can't afford that extra couple $100,
That's right.
the PSVR is most certainly a great product, and I have enjoyed it highly. It really does. It really does break that little sliver extra through the glass of immersion, because although because I got the Skyrim bundle for it, as you did too,
Yep.
and although the controls are really airy, like the everything doesn't and nothing has a lot of weight to it in terms of holding
Right.
it, the ability to be able to actually bring things closer to your face and inspect it and actually set it down and let go and like watch it land properly is something that I was so excited, because now Hearthfire was finally something that was viable.
Something that you can work with.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. The escapism avenue once again was open in terms of that.
reborn.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
That's
you can
important.
yeah, it is.
And I think it goes the same for the game that you first introduced me to on the PSVR, Super Hot, because I had played
super hot.
only
Super.
the Xbox version beforehand, which was fun. It was a great arcade game, but diving into Super Hot was
Talk about escapism,
oh
man.
my God.
Talk about escapism. If you haven't tried it, listeners, please find your nearest PSVR friend
Somebody
or make
that
one.
has it, yeah.
Yeah.
Because experiencing...
Or whatever VR.
Right. Yeah, well, anything that can put
Yeah.
you in a different... Yeah, and I think it's important to be able to, again, as like rudimentary as it is, to put yourself in this sort of experience that you've never experienced before and allow it to, even if you don't like video games, just allow it to sort of impact you or sort of change you on its own level. You know what I mean? The whole... And I think that's what it would be for anybody, is just this fourth level of immersion where, like, I mean, I can't even count the number of times there was a little wall next to me in the virtual reality that I thought was there, and I went to lean on the wall and I fell on my ass because there's obviously no fucking wall there.
Right,
I'm
exactly.
just a dumbass who was totally immersed in the virtual
The phenomena
reality.
is real, though.
Yes.
Yeah, as far as your brain knows, we're in
It's
this place.
happening.
We're in this place now.
Yes.
And how interesting, how pliable your brain is in terms
the
of
sucker.
Yeah, it's like,
The poor
oh,
bastard.
is this reality now? That's cool. That's cool.
That's
yeah,
cool.
That's cool.
That's
It's a little less polished than the last one, but we can work with it for sure. The plasticity,
same inputs.
yeah, the plasticity is wonderful, and man, that just goes to show that the future is going to be ridiculous, because if our brain really can be so easily fooled into thinking that that reality is, real enough to think that a crate next to you is leanable, it's like you've lost already. Like
Yes.
you've already pretty much lost, because just a little extra rendering, and perhaps creating a room that moves with you in a particular way, just pretty much can take you in an absolutely ridiculous way. And because of that, once again, we have to consider how applicable of a good time that is, considering how unbelievably immersed that is in everybody's everyday life. Is like all the things that we're talking about, every single one of those advents that we're talking about so giddy are things that will happen, and because of that we will have to deal with whatever X consequences will be. Maybe the consequences will be minimal, and then it will just be perhaps a watering down of narrative for more gameplay features as more kinesthetic needs are placed above narrative ones. Maybe that's the only thing that will come down to it.
It might
Or maybe and it might just or it might be a little darker, and we might see another period where people are leaving their babies to die in South Korea because they're playing WoW so much. I mean, that kind of situation still happens from time to time, where the love of video games just goes to such a dark degree that lives are lost. Yeah, and because of that, it is a real topic to speak about, because it has taken lives, essentially.
It's really depressing, but yeah, it's worth it for sure. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's just real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. You can't. I mean, that's just you can't. Fuck, man. With anything, you just can't.
You can't put the horse. Yeah. What is it? The horse before the carriage.
Yeah. That is.
Yeah. Or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, once again, as we said, video games are just a tool to be able to feel X way. You can feel melancholy, sad, happy, ecstatic.
Like a book or a movie. It's simply a way for you to, I don't know, develop new ideas and
Right, because it's a mechanism to foster empathy to a certain degree, because every single video game or movie or any sort of medium was created by another person, right? Every single thing was created by a person with intentionalities behind their thinking, even if they themselves are fooling themselves into thinking they were being unbiased as I'm creating. It's like, nope, I'm being the most objective person possible.
Just like we're trying to do, right?
Exactly, right?
Exactly.
We showcase our biases as we speak without even realizing it, but that's what makes us human, and that's what makes it so the video games as a whole can reach us in such different ways. Because every single person is different, and because of that, there is a market for almost anyone.
Exactly.
Every person is reachable.
Yeah.
So.
And it's only going to get more so. I think. Yeah. I mean, it's already the highest, grossing media platform. How could it not get higher? I don't.
Right.
Even. I mean, shit, man. Little kids. little kids could probably kick our asses in a lot of video games.
Right?
And probably will be able to in the future, for sure.
I mean, as we lose our cognitive abilities
Oh,
and
God.
motor functions, we
I
most
hope it's
certainly
not
will be
so
losing.
soon.
Yeah. Who knows?
I'm not looking forward to that day when my nephew beats me in Super Smash Bros. Man, I'll tell you what, I'll probably cry a little bit
Oh,
after
yeah.
I leave the room. This is part of my soul has died right there.
As he slowly comes to realize that he probably could have beat you like 2 years ago.
Yeah, he
He's
probably
like,
could have too, but
Yeah.
I fucking talked down to him and I got him in a mood.
yeah, exactly. He's like, man, Uncle's really gonna be
You're never
hurt.
gonna beat me.
Yeah. I hope not. That's why you have to stay sharp. Play more video games.
Yes. You know, I don't know if there's something that's intrinsically important in video games, but I think that the platform itself, just the media itself offers us so much in terms of growth and creative thought that, you know, it's definitely, at the very least, not worth dismissing offhand. There are really important aspects of video games that tug at the real heartstrings of life.
Genuinely. And I think with that, we're gonna be sending ourselves off into space. Blasting off again. And that was our lethal discussion. I hope that we gave some killer thoughts out there, and you guys have a good day and good night.
Good night.